a title, more or less.
Yeah.
Yes? And another is Muslim. Again, a title given to him. And these two individuals, they collected these hadiths and they compiled them. And the compilation is called Sahih al-Bukhari, or the authentic narration of Bukhari. Yes? And the other is called Sahih al-Muslim, the authentic collection of Muslim. Another scholar, yes? And like I said, these two individuals, they came about 200, 250 years
What are the 40 that I've seen, like you can buy or whatever?
The Hadith Qudsi, that's a small collection of the Hadiths, yes.
That refer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as I said, that are directed to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says.
And these, so we have different classification. I spoke to you about the science of Hadith earlier.
Yeah.
Yes? So the scholars have categorized them, because you know some of the Hadiths, they are fabricated. So people would say that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said X, Y, and Z, and it turns out that there is no evidence for that. But they just claim this, and people would say, okay, they would believe in it, but then realize that the scholars have categorized them as fabricated.
Who are these scholars?
The scholars throughout time. So the earlier scholars, many of them, they would categorize them as being, the different categorization.
No.
It's like Sahih means authentic, then you have something called Hasan, which is basically the next level to the authentic. And then you have something called Maudu, and something called, which is basically, so Maudu would be something that is weak. Yes? Sorry, Daif is weak. Yes? Maudu is fabricated. Yeah, fabricated. And that is something that we do not consider to be hadith, something as a narration.
So that hasn't changed now for how long?
Hasn't changed since the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So before they didn't used to write it down; they used to memorize it.
Yeah.
Most of these narrations of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the companions and the people after them, the tabi'in and the tabi'in, and the scholars throughout time, they used to memorize this, and then they used to tell each other that this is what they heard from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is how these people who collected the hadiths, they would collect something like millions of hadiths, and they would only choose a small fraction of that, and they would put it in that compilation. The reason they did not put all of it is because they would filter out the ones which were fabricated, unauthentic. So all those they would filter out, and they would only choose the most authentic amongst them.
So this was a system.
It was a system, yeah. That's why it's called the science of hadith.
So with this system,
Yes.
we still need to, there's still an element of belief to the system. Because not everybody, like I might say, I don't believe that system. You know? You know what I'm saying? It's
What do you mean element of belief? In what sense?
For example, I haven't got an example.
I'll give you an example. There is no example. Let me give you an example.
Yeah, go on.
Say you got your birth certificate.
Yes.
Yes? If you showed me a birth certificate, just a photocopy of it, yes? Will I be convinced, or will anybody else be convinced that that is your birth certificate? A photocopy. It's not the original.
No.
Yes?
Probably say, yeah.
You tell them you lost the original. Yes? Now what you'll have to do is you'll have to go to the proper authorities who issue this certificate, and then you'll have to get a copy of the original, and then you will be able to convince people that this is authentic. You see, there is a system.
There is a system.
There's a system. Now this system is something that you believe in. Now you're not going to go out to the home office and check, or whoever issues the birth certificate. You're going to tell them, oh, show me your ID. I want to see. Because they work in that office, and you have gone to the official
But that's the home
authorities.
office. That's not,
Yeah, but that's what I'm
for
telling
me,
you.
like I don't know these, I don't know how you know about these systems and people probably from family or whatever, like growing up or people around you. I don't know who these people are.
No, that's why I
The
said.
Hadith. So
Yeah,
obviously you're telling me.
No, but that's why I said there's something called Ilm al-Rijal, which is the biography of the people who are the links in the chain. Imagine you have a big chain of 10 people. Each individual, you don't know them, I don't know them. So what we do is we go based on what people knew about them. Yes, like I said, 200 years after Muhammad is not a long time.
People.
Yes, people. Yeah. When I say people, I mean people who are qualified to basically write about them.
Who said they're qualified?
Well, they're qualified from their experience, from the fact that they have memorized so many hadiths, from the fact that they can decipher which are weak, which are strong, which are in between the two, and which are fabricated. So it comes with experience. So people used to test Bukhari, for example. They used to give him X number of hadiths, and they will used to test him. Okay, you won't be able to identify that because they all seem identical. and only one of them is the true one. Yes, because he would not only memorize the actual content of the hadith, but he would memorize the chain of narration. He would memorize who these individuals within this chain of narration are.
Is it possible to memorize something? This is just for, like, you know, we're talking logic. Is it possible to memorize something that's not true?
Yes, it is.
Like a fake story?
Yes, it is.
I'm not calling it a fake story, guys.
No.
I'm just saying.
No, it's a good point.
Yeah, you know what I'm
It's a
saying.
good point, yeah.
Yeah.
So he would actually memorize even the ones which are unauthentic, and then he would filter out the ones when he realized, when he put, you know, the acid test within the science of hadith, when he would categorize them, there's actually a test to categorize this. I think there's a list of, I don't know, a few number of categories which they used to say. So they used to check basically this person, this individual, did he speak the truth all the time? Was he an old person who would lapse in his memory, for
When you say
example?
they,
For example, Bukhari. Yes, one of the persons who collected the hadiths, he would employ this criteria.
we have to believe him.
We have to, yes.
We have to.
In the sense that he's qualified to do so.
Yes, I know, but okay.
If you want to add something, you can.
But me,
Yes.
Can I say one thing?
Yes,
I don't know him, so it's very hard for me to connect.
No, that's why.
You see what I'm saying?
Look, it's
Like,
like
I don't know who he is.
It's like when you go to your doctor.
Yeah.
Do you know him initially when you first met him?
No.
But you went to him
I'm
because
very weary of doctors sometimes.
yeah, but you still have to.
What happened to me?
Yeah.
You still have
What happened?
Let me tell you.
Spare us the details.
It's not personal. It's not him, one or two.
Yeah.
The hadith is an exception to this nation. No other nation in history had it. This hadith system. So it's not one person.
It's not about nation. It's about the religion. Unique to a religion which has maintained the authenticity of the collection of not only the Quran, which is the word of Allah, but also the saying of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his companions. You see this, like I told you earlier, this is something far more extraordinary than even the Gospels, which do not even have the manuscripts, let alone a chain of narration of who Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John are. You know, we don't know Mark, who is not a direct disciple of Jesus,
But you know
but
what?
Matthew copied from Mark.